That sets us up perfectly to introduce Leonie Haimson. She is an advocate for smaller classes and an executive director for the group Class Size Matters. And Leonie, it's a pleasure to see you. What the key variables that you lose when a class size gets bigger?
Well, you lose a lot when a class size gets bigger. Teachers tell us they don't have enough time to devote to individual students or group instruction. Students are less engaged in what's happening in the classroom in a large class. They tend to get lost in the back and don't pay attention, and really the time on task is lost. Disciplinary referrals go way up when you have larger classes, and really the benefits outweigh the costs, economists say, 2 to 1.
Yeah. There's a quote from Bill Gates here that I would love to get your thoughts on. Gates says, one approach is to get more students in front of top teachers, asking them to take on 4 or 5 more students. Part of the savings could then be used to give top teachers a raise. Yeah, well, I think I got into this issue in the first place when my daughter was in first grade. She had the best teacher in the school, incredibly experienced and gifted teacher, and she told me for days, she prayed for days when 1 or 2 kids were absent because she couldn't reach all of the rest of the kids in the class otherwise. What we're saying right now is the best teachers cannot do their best in large classes, and if we really want to do right by our teachers and, more importantly, right by our children, we have to provide them with reasonable class sizes. Because the Institute of Education Sciences, which is the research arm of the U.S. Department of Education, say there's only 4 education reforms that have proven to work to improve student achievement through rigorous evidence, and class size is one of them. And I can tell you that none of the things that Bill Gates and Arne Duncan are talking about, wasting millions of dollars, are on that list. You say wasting millions of dollars. Where do you see the most waste in education? Because as we know, Ben, we talk about how the budgets are sideways. America spends a fortune on education and gets terrible results. America is famous in health care, spend more than anybody in the world, 37th quality in care. Education, second biggest spender on the planet on education, and we don't even rank in the top 10 in any category, which is where you were just going, Leonie, which is we spend a pile of money on nothing.
We're getting our butt whipped, Dylan. And we're getting our butt whipped by people who spend less money. We're getting our butt whipped by people who have larger class sizes. There's a lot of things that we have to deal with, a lot of variables that exist in an American classroom that aren't existing in Finland. So we got to take that into account, and I agree with Leonie. And I think we'd all agree that a great teacher with 15 students is going to outperform a great teacher with 50 students. Yeah, I think logic rules that.
Yeah. I can tell you, I have talked to people who've studied the Finnish educational system and are writing a book about it, and they say that Finland turned around their education system in the 1970s when they reduced class sizes. They give no.
Was that the only thing they did?
That was one of the major things they did. They also stopped tracking. In exchange for stopping tracking, the teachers union said, we demand smaller classes. They reduced class sizes in all grades to 20 or less, and they stopped giving standardized tests. They started giving more respect and paying teachers more. Those were the things that were. Do they teach in groups and
project-based and all the sort of stuff that people talk about?
Well, they do a lot.
Let me hop in there, Dylan, if I can.
Go ahead, Ben.
You know, I think some of that stuff makes total sense. Stopping tracking, to me, you know, there's best practices in a lot of fields, and tracking is one of them. Dylan, I'm sure you guys track the results of your shows and the different segments, and that affects strategy. I think what's exciting is the class size reality and the outcomes that we're seeing right now are forcing a very disciplined conversation on what we need. And there's some new advances happening right now that I think are going to cause sweeping changes in the way we educate our children and the ability of a teacher to best handle 15 kids or 30 kids, and giving them the same technological interface that your producer has so they can evaluate the performance on an individual basis and aren't having to teach en masse to everyone at once. So I think this is a really unfortunate situation that we're in right now, but the crisis is an opportunity. And I think there's a lot of people looking at it that way.
I think right now our country is wasting hundreds of millions of dollars, and our city is wasting hundreds of millions of dollars on unproven fads. One of them relates to the expansion of technology and online learning. New York City wants to spend $500 million next year on expanding online learning without any independent evaluation showing that it actually works. Both Bill Gates and Arne Duncan are putting lots of money into teacher merit pay, which is paying teachers more for higher standardized test scores. And there's been study after study showing that that's a waste of money, it doesn't work, and in fact it has damaging consequences on our kids. So I think that there is money out there. I also believe that this may not relate exactly to the topic, but if we taxed millionaires and had them pay their fair share, a lot of the state budget deficits would go away. And as I said before, Alan Krueger, who was the former chief economist for the Treasury Department, has pointed out that class size reduction yields twice as much in terms of economic benefits than the costs. And we as a country owe it to our own future and that of our children to invest in programs that are proven to work rather than unproven fads and experiments.
Yeah, well, listen, it's a pleasure to have this conversation with you. Leonie, it's nice to have you here. Ben, it's nice to see you.
I was wrong. This turned into a debate, Dylan, but I know we're out of time. So.
It's all right. It's all good, my man. Ben Goldhirsch out of Good. The takeaway for me is a reminder that whether it's energy, healthcare, or education, we spend billions and billions and billions of dollars that get paid to not give us what we are getting, which is healthcare, energy, and education. We don't get it, but we pay for it so that somebody else can get rich, and that just seems stupid to me. For more on Good's projects and a little activism, check out their website at good.is.